This is what it takes to make you great at auditions. Do we really have to do this? Hey friend, I'm Danny Irizarry, welcome to my actor log, and welcome to my very first audition analysis video. I originally started this YouTube channel so that I could put my auditions online and then go back and watch them later and learn from them, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm starting with my very first self-tape audition that I posted on YouTube, and I'm going to go through and point out the best parts and the worst parts and see what I can learn, and hopefully you can learn with me. So, let's jump into this.
I'm Danny Irizarry.
So from the very first frame of my self-tape audition, there are 4 things that shout, "I'm not a professional." The first thing, the title of the video, Video Audition Tape. That title gives honestly no information to honestly nobody. The proper title for a audition video, a self-tape audition video, is your name, the project you're auditioning for, and the character you're auditioning for. So for this, it would be Danny Irizarry. Let's say this was called Springtime or whatever, so it would be Danny Irizarry, Springtime, Lane. Commas in between each of them. That way, when you send it off to the casting director or the director of the project, they know immediately, just from looking at the title of the video, who it is, what project, and what character. The second thing is the framing. It should be, you should have room above the top of your head or just at the top of your head, and the bottom of the frame should be about mid-torso right there. So all they can see is this right here. You've got a box about that big, or something like this, one of my later videos.
I'm Danny Irizarry. I'm 16 years old.
That way, they can see your eyes when you're acting, because your eyes are the window to your soul. They're what you use to convey emotion when you're actually acting, and not just talking and using dialogue to explain what's going on in the scene. But when you're actually acting, your eyes are what they need to watch to be able to see what an actor you are. And if you're this far away, there's no way you can see that detail of performance in the eyes. The third thing is, I have my sides in my hand. Now, it is occasionally okay to have the script in your hand. 99% of the time, you should just have it memorized. Unless they've given you the script the night before, or you've walked into the audition room in person and they hand you the script, it's pretty much inexcusable not to have it memorized. Having a script in your hands, I had an acting teacher call that handcuffs, because that locks you down. Your eyes and your hands locks them down into one place, and that keeps you from being able to act naturally. Because if you're talking with somebody, you're not constantly looking back at your hands, unless possibly you're playing a nervous character. But not being able to move your hands about, or not being able to do different physical motions with your hands, maybe putting them in your pockets or crossing them in front of you, having that script in your hand binds you, ties you down, and immensely limits how much you can actually act. The fourth thing is, I don't start off with a smile. I start off with a very intense, kind of aggravated face, almost. It seems to me that I was doing it because my last name is quite a last name. Irizarry is hard to catch. So I was trying to enunciate and be as understandable as possible. But I came off aggressive and irritated at the beginning. And from the very beginning, if a casting director is watching this, and I go, Danny Irizarry, whoa, what did I do? Why are you yelling at me? You wanna be very friendly and very inviting and very appealing at the beginning of your self-tape audition, because otherwise they're just gonna click away, because they may not think you're an entertaining or positive person, which clearly you are, but you have 5 seconds at the beginning of your video to show them what kind of a person you are.
And I'll be reading for the part. I'm Danny Irizarry. I'm 16 years old, and I'll be reading for the part of Lane.
If that happens, what you should just do is restart. Start over. Hi, Danny Irizarry, 17 years old, and I will be reading for the part of Lane.
Beautiful 8-pounder. 8 pounds of smooth satisfaction.
And there's the 6th thing, I think. I'm using a prop. Basically, don't use props. It's a no-no. Don't do it.
Do we listen? What's the cheering in the stadium? Or the silence of the swarm?
And then there, adjusting my papers, cuts me off even more. And then that is the next problem. I cut right in the middle of my audition. 2 problems with that is it takes the casting director out of the moment, and it shows that you weren't professional enough to remember your lines. So don't cut Just don't cut in the middle of your audition.
That's just my trip, man.
I didn't even know what I was saying. What am I doing?
You're up.
I was gonna say the turkey. The ultimate moment when you feel galactic.
Oh no, oh gross. Oh goodness, what am I doing to myself? And that there at the end is another big don't do it. Don't fade out or in at the beginning of your video or at the end of your video. Don't have little animations or motion graphics or your theme song or your logo pop on screen. That's generally not a good idea. The only thing that I would say is okay is at the end of your video to put your name and contact information, either of you or your agent, so that they know how they can get in contact with you. But they should already know that because of previous communications and should be able to get in touch with you just fine without that video being included in the email. So overall, I'm not shocked that I didn't get this part. I clearly wasn't showing that I knew what I was doing. You know, you can see a light in the background there, the framing is weird. I've got a prop and I've got the script in my hand. Throughout the audition, I'm not really interacting with what my partners in the scene are saying or doing, and I'm not doing a great job of interacting with my environment very well. One thing that is good, though, is throughout the audition, I'm not looking into the camera like I do for my actor logs. Whenever you're auditioning, you always want to offset it just a little bit, left or right, and so generally a good way to do that is to have whoever's reading the scene with you just stand off to one side or the other of the camera so that you remember not to look right into the camera. So the four biggest takeaways, things that I learned from this audition that I will be applying to my future auditions, and hopefully you can use too, is 1, get the title of the video right. Make it clear and concise so they can read it and know exactly who you are and what you're auditioning for. The second thing is memorize, 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 memorize. Make sure your lines are memorized so you can get all the way through the scene and so you're not opening up and closing back to the script. So you're performing to the best of your ability. The third thing is to interact with my environment more. Realize that, say, in this scene, I was in a store. I believe I was. I'm in a store, so I'm kind of looking around maybe at the other things or noticing other people looking at me and not really caring. Figuring out what my environment looks like and how that might affect my performance. And the last thing that I would work on is my reaction to the other people's lines. I do it a little bit in this audition, but just noticing, thinking about what they're saying and what that means to me, what they might be implying, and how then I would change what I was doing to make them happy or not care, depending on what your character feels. But just putting effort into recognizing what the other person is saying and how that affects you. In overview, I don't think I would have cast myself if I were the casting director watching this video. Not only because I didn't show that I was a professional with the video setup and the title and everything, but also just because I didn't seem to fit the character and I didn't have a good sense of what I was doing yet. I was uncomfortable, had the script in my hand, and my jerky interactions throughout the whole thing, that opening up to the camera, opening up and doing my dialogue, my bit, if you will, and then closing back up, are a couple indicators that I didn't know what I was doing, and I wouldn't have done a very good job on set. But I'm glad that I auditioned, and glad that I was able to learn from that. So thanks so much for watching and learning with me from my old audition. I'm sorry for having, had you watch this with me. If you want to watch the video in its entirety, don't feel like you have to. In fact, please don't. But if you want to, there's a link in the description to where you can watch the full video and pick out your own things that you didn't like about it. But I feel like I learned a lot, and it definitely informed my future auditions, and will continue to inform the auditions that I will film in the future. So I hope this helped. I'm glad you watched. If you have any questions, suggestions, corrections, or anything else, comment or contact me through Snapchat or get in touch with me through Facebook. Any of the ways that are most convenient to you, let me know, and I would love to make a video answering your question or just having a discussion with you. So I hope to see you at my next video. Thanks so much, and don't forget to stay in character. Danny out.
Maybe I am.
Gosh, no. You can stop.
If I were a turkey, Nirvana meets Shangri-La.
Soul is only two.
Meets America.
Oh, God.
You're a turkey. Teach me, Lane. Take me to your alley.